忽听空中人言：“大圣，我们是观音菩萨差来保护圣僧的。”唐僧慌忙礼拜。悟空问：“你们是谁报上名来？我好点卯。”众神说
Suddenly someone in the air said, "Great sage, we are sent by Guanyin Bodhisattva to protect the holy monks." Tang Monk hurriedly bowed, and Wukong asked, "Who are you to tell me your name?" "I'll be better," the god said.
我们是六丁六甲五方揭谛四支公曹118位护教伽蓝轮流值日。悟空让诸神护住师傅，来到涧边，取出棒，叫骂泼泥鳅。
We are the 6 Ding Liujia, the 5 directions revealers, the 4 levels of merit Chao, and the 18 protective Jelon, taking turns to be on duty. Wukong asked the gods to protect his master. He came to the stream, took out his stick, and shouted, "Throw mud at the loach."
还我马来！那龙听得叫骂，窜出水面，张牙舞爪来斗悟空，不敌悟空棒重，逃入水中，不肯出来。悟空去见唐僧，说龙藏水底。
Give me my horse back. The dragon heard the scolding, jumped out of the water, bared its teeth and claws to fight Wukong, but was defeated by Wukong's stick and fled into the water and refused to come out. Wukong went to see Tang Monk and said that the dragon was hiding under the water.
任他叫骂，不肯出来交战。唐僧说：“前几天你还说你有降龙伏虎的手段，今天怎不能降他？”悟空被唐僧这一抢白，赌气来到涧边。
Let him yell and curse, but refuse to come out to fight. Tang Sing said, "A few days ago you said you had the means to subdue the dragon and the tiger. Why can't you subdue him today?" Wukong was robbed by Tang Sing and came to the stream in anger.
使出翻江搅海的神通，把涧水搅得如同开了锅。龙在水中受不了，只好出来，说：“你是哪里的妖魔，如此欺负我？”悟空说：“你还我马。”
He used his magical power to stir up rivers and seas, stirring the stream as if it were a boiling pot. The dragon couldn't stand it in the water, so he had to come out and said, "Where are you from, a monster, bullying me like this?" Wukong said, "Give me back my horse."
就饶你性命。龙说：“我把马吃了，又吐不出来。”悟空说：“我就打死你，给马抵命。”那龙再战悟空，斗不几合，实在难当，就变成条水蛇。
"I'll spare your life." The dragon said, "I ate the horse and couldn't spit it out." Wukong said, "I will kill you and save the life of the horse." The dragon fought Wukong again, but the fight was not close. It was too difficult to fight, so it turned into a water snake.
钻入草窠中，悟空使棒拨草寻蛇，便寻不着，急得他念动真言，拘来山神、土地，举棒要打。山神说了龙的来历。
Dig into the grass. Wukong used his stick to pluck the grass to look for snakes, but couldn't find them. He was so anxious that he chanted the mantra, captured the mountain gods and the land, and raised his stick to beat them. The mountain god told the origin of the dragon.
土地说：“只要请来南海菩萨，就可收服此龙。”悟空就领山神、土地来见唐僧，说是要去南海。唐僧说：“你一去，不知几时回来。”
Tutu said that as long as he invited Nanhai Bodhisattva, he could subdue this dragon. Wukong brought the mountain gods and the land to see Tang Seng, saying that he was going to the South China Sea. Tang Seng said, "Once you go, I don't know when you will come back."
我怎么办？悟空正为难，半空中金头接地自告奋勇去请菩萨。不多时，接地请来菩萨。悟空大叫：“你自称大慈大悲。”
What should I do? Wukong was in a dilemma. In the air, Jie with a golden head volunteered to invite the Bodhisattva. After a while, Jie invited the Bodhisattva. Wukong shouted, "You claim to be compassionate and compassionate.
怎么生法害我哄老孙戴上这花帽，又教老和尚念什么紧箍咒，咒我头疼？”观音骂道：“你这大胆泼猴，我好意让取经人救你。”
How could I coax old Sun to wear this flower hat, and teach the old monk to recite some kind of tightening curse to give me a headache? Guanyin scolded, "You are such a bold monkey. I kindly asked the pilgrims to save you."
让你保他去西天，你却不服管教。若不用这箍拘着你，你还敢狂上7天，再闯大祸。只有如此，你才肯入我佛门。悟空说
I asked you to escort him to the west, but you refused to obey the discipline. If you didn't have to be restrained by this hoop, you would still dare to lie to God and cause great trouble. Only in this way will you be willing to enter my Buddhist sect. Wukong said,
这倒罢了，你为什么又让那孽龙吃了我师父的马？观音说了那龙的来历，吩咐接地，你去见边教，敖润龙王玉龙3太子。
That's all. Why did you let that evil dragon eat my master's horse again? Guanyin told the origin of the dragon and ordered Jie Di, "Go to the stream and call, Ao Run, Dragon King Jade Dragon, 3rd Prince."
南海菩萨在此，他就会出来。接地一叫，那龙果然出来，变成人形，向菩萨礼拜，说他久等取经人不见。菩萨说：“那不是取经人。”龙说
Nanhai Bodhisattva is here, he will come out. As soon as he called out the truth, the dragon came out, turned into a human form, and bowed to the Bodhisattva, saying that he had been waiting for a long time for the Buddhist scripture collector to disappear. The Bodhisattva said, "That is not the scripture collector." The dragon said,
他只跟我斗，没说一个取经字。悟空说：“你又没问我姓名。”龙说：“我不问了，你是哪里的泼魔？你啥时说半个唐字？”菩萨埋怨说
He only fought with me and didn't say a word about seeking scriptures. Wukong said, "You didn't ask me my name." The dragon said, "I won't ask you where you are from. When did you say half a Tang character?" The Bodhisattva complained.
你这猴头只会逞强，再往前去，还有人皈依。问你时，你先提取经，自会收服。 观音摘了小龙项上明珠，用杨柳枝蘸上甘露。
You monkey head only wants to show off your strength. Going further, there are still people converting. When you are asked, you first extract the sutra and you will be able to subdue it. Guanyin picked the pearl from the little dragon's neck and dipped the willow branches in the nectar.
往他身上一拂，叫声变，小龙就变得跟原来的马一模一样。菩萨辞了三藏要走，悟空扯住他说：“西天路上如此艰险。”
With a flick on his body, the little dragon screamed, "Change," and the little dragon became exactly like the original horse. The Bodhisattva said goodbye to Tripitaka and was about to leave. Ryukong grabbed her and said, "The road to the west is so difficult and dangerous."
老和尚又不知好歹，我不去了。菩萨说：“遇到危难时，我许你叫天天鹰，叫地地灵，十分危难时，我也会亲自救你。”
The old monk is ungrateful, so I won't go. The Bodhisattva said, "When you are in danger, I promise you to call the heavens and heavens to respond, and the spirits of the earth and the earth. When you are in extreme danger, I will personally save you."
他又摘下3片杨柳叶，变成3根救命毫毛，说：“到万般无奈时，你可随机应变，用这毫毛救自己。”菩萨走后，
She plucked 3 more willow leaves and turned them into 3 life-saving hairs, saying, "When you are desperate, you can adapt to the situation and use these hairs to save yourself." After the Bodhisattva left,
悟空牵上马来见唐僧。唐僧说：“这马怎比以前肥壮了？你从哪儿找回来的？”悟空说：“这是那龙变的。”唐僧说：“一匹无鞍的马怎么骑？”
Ryukong led the horse to see Tang Monk. Tang Monk said, "How come this horse is fatter than before? Where did you get it back from?" Ryukong said, "This is the transformation of the dragon." Tang Monk said, "How can you ride a saddleless horse?"
悟空说：“这里又无渡船，只有骑马过涧了。”唐僧只好骑上光屁股马，来到涧边，却见一个渔翁撑着筏子，等在岸边。
Ryukong said, "There is no ferry here, so we can only cross the stream on horseback." Tang Monk had no choice but to ride on his naked horse and came to the stream. But I saw a fisherman holding a raft and waiting on the shore.
唐僧师徒乘筏过了涧，唐僧要给摆渡钱，悟空说：“不打他就便宜他了，还给他钱。”唐僧说：“他好心渡我们过涧，你怎么反要打他？”
Tang Seng and his disciples crossed the stream on a raft. Tang Seng wanted to give him money for the ferry. Ryukong said, "If you don't beat him, it will be easier for him. Give him the money." Tang Seng said, "He was kind enough to ferry us across the stream. Why do you want to beat him?"
悟空说：“他是涧中水神，迎接来迟，怎么不该打师徒2人行到天晚，到一座庄院投宿？”庄主太公盛情接待，说此处是西番哈密国。
Ryukong said, "He is the water god in the stream. He is late to greet him. Why shouldn't he be beaten?" The master and the apprentice went to a village to stay overnight. The owner of the village, Grand Duke, welcomed him warmly and said that this was the kingdom of Hami, Shifan.
全庄人都信佛。他见白龙马没有安配，就送上一副，又送了一条虎金马鞭。次日师徒登城，转身不见了庄院，唐僧知是山神。
Everyone in the village believes in Buddhism. Seeing that the white dragon horse had no saddle and bridle, he gave one as a gift and a tiger-skinned riding whip. The next day, when the master and his disciples set out on their journey, they turned around and disappeared from the village courtyard. Tang Monk knew that it was the mountain god.
土地显灵，连忙礼拜。悟空却冷笑说：“他如此藏头露尾，欠打师徒行了2个月太平路，一路上居民多是回人。眼看天气渐暖，
The land appeared, and he worshipped quickly. But Wukong sneered and said, "He hides his head and shows his tail, so he deserves a beating." The master and apprentice walked the Taiping Road for 2 months, and most of the residents along the way were returnees. Seeing that the weather is getting warmer,
草木发青。这天，太阳西坠，见远处山凹里有楼台殿阁。悟空说：“不是庙宇，就是寺院，我们赶去借宿。”师徒2人走近。
the grass and trees turned green. That day, as the sun set in the west, he saw towers and palaces in the valley in the distance. Wukong said, "It's either a temple or a monastery. Let's go and stay overnight." The 2 masters and apprentices approached.
见过是一座寺院。进了山门，抬头看正殿上书4个大字“观音禅院”。三藏就如见到菩萨一般，五体投地拜了下去。
The result is a temple. After entering the mountain gate, I looked up and saw the 4 big characters, Guanyin Temple, written on the main hall. As if seeing a bodhisattva, Tripitaka fell to the ground and bowed down.
殿中的和尚就去击鼓，悟空就去撞钟。三藏拜毕，和尚住了鼓，悟空还不住地撞钟。和尚问：“你怎么还撞钟？”悟空说
The monks in the temple went to beat the drums, and Wukong went to ring the bell. After Sanzang paid his respects, the monks stopped playing the drum, and Wukong kept ringing the bell. The monk asked, "Why are you still ringing the bell?" Wukong said,
我是当一天和尚撞一天钟，钟声惊动全寺的和尚一齐拥来，怒斥：“哪里的野人乱撞钟？”悟空说：“是你们孙外公撞了耍。”
I am a monk who rings the clock every day. The sound of the bell alarmed all the monks in the temple, and they all came together and angrily shouted, "Where are the savages who are hitting the bell randomly?" Wukong said, "It was your grandpa who did it."
把众和尚吓得跌跌撞撞，跪了一地。唐僧说：“他是我徒弟，不要怕。”众僧知他们是大唐去西天取经的和尚，才放下心来。
The monks were so frightened that they stumbled and knelt on the ground. Tang's monk said, "He is my disciple, don't be afraid." The monks knew that they were monks from the Tang dynasty who went to the west to learn Buddhist scriptures, so they felt relieved.
牵马的牵马，抬行李的抬行李，请到方丈。院主与唐僧见了礼，安排斋饭。唐僧谢了，忽有2个小童搀一老僧出来，说：“师祖来了。”
Those who lead the horses, and those who carry the luggage. Please come to the abbot. The master of the hospital met with Tang Seng and arranged a fast meal. Tang monk thanked him, and suddenly 2 children helped an old monk out and said, "Master is here."
唐僧上前施礼，老僧说：“我听说唐朝的老爷来了，出来相见。不知东土到此多远？”唐僧说：“出长安到边界有5000多里。”
Tang monk stepped forward to salute, and the old monk said, "I heard that the master of the Tang dynasty has come and came out to meet him. I don't know how far the east is from here." Tang monk said, "It is more than 5,000 miles from Chang'an to the border."
又走过哈密国，又有5、6千里，才到贵处。老僧说：“也有万把里了。可怜我活了270多岁，连山门也没出过，真是坐井观天了。”
We also walked through the country of Hami, another 5 or 6,000 miles, before we arrived at your place. The old monk said, "There are also tens of thousands of miles. It's a pity that I have lived for more than 270 years and have never even left the mountain gate. It is really like sitting in a well and looking at the sky."
悟空说：“还是我万代孙里唐僧瞪他一眼，说：不得冲撞人，老僧就叫献茶。唐僧见茶具都是美玉雕成，连说：好东西。”
Wukong said, "I am still my descendant for generations." Tang monk glared at him and said, "Don't bump into people." The old monk asked for tea. When Tang monk saw that the tea sets were all made of beautiful jade, he said, "Good things."
真是美食美器。老僧说：“老爷从天朝来，定有好宝贝，请借一看。”唐僧忙说：“可怜路途遥远，怎敢带什么宝贝？”悟空说：“
It's really delicious food and beautiful utensils." The old monk said, "I have come from heaven. I must have a good treasure. Please borrow it." Tang monk hurriedly said, "It's pitiful, the journey is far away, how dare you bring any treasure?" Wukong said,
师傅的袈裟不是宝贝。院主冷笑说：“袈裟算什么宝贝？就拿我来说，也不止20、30件。若论我师祖，足有700、800件。命众僧。”
"Master's cassocks are not treasures." The master sneered and said, "What kind of treasures are cassocks? For me, there are more than 20 or 30 pieces. If you talk about my master, there are 700 or 800 pieces. Order the monks."
拿出来让唐朝的老爷见识见识。老僧让人开了库房，抬出12个柜子，四周扯上绳子，把袈裟一件件搭上，果然都是锦绣绫罗。
"Take it out and show it to the masters of the Tang dynasty." The old monk asked someone to open the warehouse, carry out 12 cabinets, tie ropes around them, and put the cassocks on them one by one. As expected, they were all made of brocade silk.
精美无比。悟空说：“收起你们的，看我们的。”唐僧忙扯住悟空，说：“别与人斗富，只怕有意外。”悟空说：“放心，包在老孙身上了。”
Extremely exquisite. Wukong said, "Put away yours and look at ours." Tang Monk hurriedly grabbed Wukong and said, "Don't compete with others for wealth, for fear of accidents." Wukong said, "Don't worry, I will take care of it."
就打开包袱，早已满是霞光，彩气盈门。众僧赞不绝口。老僧果然起了歹心，跪下来说：“弟子没缘法。老爷的宝贝，天色晚了。”
As soon as I opened the baggage, the room was already full of glow, and the door was full of colorful energy. The monks were full of praise. As expected, the old monk had evil intentions, knelt down and said, "My disciple has no chance of the Dharma. My dear, it's getting late."
弟子老眼昏花，看不清楚。唐僧说：“掌灯来看。”老僧说：“一点灯，宝贝反光，更看不清。请老爷让弟子拿回房中，细细看一夜。”
The disciple's eyes are dim and he cannot see clearly. Tang Monk said, "Let's hold a lamp and take a look." The old monk said, "With a little light, the baby will reflect the light, making it even harder to see clearly. Please let the disciple take it back to the room and look at it carefully all night."
明天一早还给老爷。唐僧埋怨悟空，都怨你。悟空不以为然地笑道：“怕什么让他拿去看，除了差错找老孙。”老僧高兴万分。
I'll return it to the master tomorrow morning. Tang Monk complained to Wukong, "I blame you." Wukong smiled disapprovingly and said, "What are you afraid of? Let him take it to see if something goes wrong and ask Lao Sunday." The old monk was extremely happy.
让小童把袈裟拿回后房，命人把禅室扫净，请二位老爷安歇。回到后房，老僧抱着袈裟嚎啕痛哭，众僧慌忙来劝。老僧说：“我没福。”
Ask the boy to take the cassock back to the back room, order people to clean the Zen room, and ask the two masters to rest. Back in the back room, the old monk hugged his cassock and howled bitterly. The monks came in a hurry to persuade him. The old monk said, "I am not blessed."
看不得唐僧的宝贝。众僧说：“袈裟就在你面前，你看就是了。”老僧说：“我空有几百件袈裟，怎能有这样一件？”众僧说：“你把唐僧留下。”
I can't bear to see Tang Seng's treasure. The monk said, "The cassock is right in front of you, just look at it." The old monk said, "I have hundreds of cassocks, how can I have one like this?" The monk said, "You leave Tang Monk here."
留10天就穿10天，留1月就穿1月，何必痛哭？老僧说：“留他再长时间，袈裟还是他的， 怎能留长远？广智和尚说，这还不容易。
If you keep it for 10 days, wear it for 10 days. If you keep it for 1 month, wear it for 1 month. Why cry bitterly? The old monk said, no matter how long you keep him, the cassock will still be his, so how can you keep it for a long time? Monk Guangji said, this is not easy.
趁他们睡熟，找几个人把他们杀了，把尸首埋在后园，连白马、包袱都是咱们的。广眸和尚说：“不好，那毛脸的怕不好对付。”
While they were asleep, we found a few people to kill them and bury their bodies in the back garden. Even the white horse and the baggage were ours. Monk Guangmo said, no, I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with that rough-faced one.
不如搬些柴草，把禅堂一把火烧了。就是别人知道了，也是他不小心自己失了火，袈裟岂不成了咱们的传家宝？老僧答应了。
It would be better to bring some firewood and set the meditation hall on fire. Even if others find out, it is because he accidentally caught fire. Wouldn't the cassock become our family heirloom? The old monk agreed.
几百和尚一人一捆柴，把禅堂周围堆成了柴山。唐僧早已睡熟，悟空却被人的脚步声、堆柴声惊醒，就变成个蜜蜂。
Hundreds of monks each had a bundle of firewood, forming a mountain of firewood around the meditation hall. Tang Monk was already asleep, but Wukong was awakened by the sound of people's footsteps and the sound of stacking firewood, and turned into a bee.
钻出窗户看时，和尚们正要放火，不由暗笑。师父所言不差，若要一顿棍打死他们，又怕师父说他行凶，若不打。
When I got out of the window to look, I saw the monks were about to set a fire. I couldn't help but smile to myself. Master's words were true. If you want to beat them to death with a stick, but you are afraid that the master will accuse him of committing murder, if you don't beat them.
和尚们又太歹毒了，就一个筋斗来到南天门，守门天将见了，慌成一团，乱叫：“闹天宫的主又来了！”悟空说：“我来找广目天王。”
The monks were too vicious, so they somersaulted to Nanshanmen. When the gatekeeper Tianjiang saw it, he panicked and shouted, "The master of the heavenly palace is here again." Wukong said, "I'm here to see King Guangmu."
列位别怕，天王来到，悟空说了事情的经过，要借避火罩用一用。天王说：“这猴子还是这样不善，只顾自己，不管别人。”悟空连催
Don't be afraid, everyone. When the King of Heaven came, Wukong told what happened and wanted to use the fire shelter. The King of Heaven said, "This monkey is still so bad, only caring about himself and not caring about others." Wukong urged.
快些，别误了大事。天王惹不起悟空，借了杖。悟空暗落云头，用罩罩住禅堂，白马就坐到老僧的房脊上，保护袈裟。
Hurry up, don't miss something important. The King of Heaven couldn't afford to offend Wukong, so he borrowed the mask. Wukong pressed down the clouds, covered the meditation hall and the white horse with the mask, and sat on the ridge of the old monk's house to protect his cassock.
和尚堆好柴，点着火，悟空吹了口气，变作狂风，立时烈焰腾空，金蛇狂舞，大火蔓延开来，把一座观音院烧成一片火海。
The monk piled firewood and lit the fire. Wukong blew a breath and turned into a strong wind. Immediately, flames rose into the sky, golden snakes danced wildly, and the fire spread, burning a Guanyin temple into a sea of flames.
和尚们就不下来，慌得搬香抬柜，抢桌端锅，叫苦连天。正南20里有一座黑风山，山上有座黑风洞，洞里有个黑风怪。
The monks couldn't save them, so they were so panicked that they moved boxes and cupboards, grabbed tables and served pots, and complained endlessly. 20 miles due south, there is a Black Wind Mountain. There is a Black Wind Cave on the mountain, and there is a Black Wind monster in the cave.
这怪正在睡觉，却见窗上通明，还以为天明了，起来一看，却是被观音院的烈火照的。这怪与老僧是好友，就赶去帮忙救火。
The monster was sleeping when he saw the light on the window. He thought it was dawn, but when he got up, he saw that it was illuminated by the fierce fire of Guanyin Yuan. This monster was friends with the old monk, so he rushed to help put out the fire.
却见后房无火，上面坐着一个人，正在放风。他奔入后房，一眼见到霞光万道，正是袈裟放光，顿起贪念，也不救火，来个趁火打劫。
But there was no fire in the back room, and there was a man sitting on it, having fun. He ran into the back room and saw 1,000 rays of light. It was the cassock shining brightly. He suddenly became greedy and did not put out the fire, but took advantage of it.
拿起袈裟就回了山。这场火直烧到5更天明，方才熄灭，把一座观音院烧成断壁残垣。和尚们哭哭啼啼，在灰烬里翻捡东西。
He picked up his cassock and returned to the mountain. The fire burned until dawn before it was extinguished, burning a Guanyin courtyard into ruins. The monks wept and rummaged through the ashes.
乱成一锅粥，行者取下避火罩，送回天上，谢了广目天王，又变成个蜜蜂，飞进禅堂。唐僧起了床，开门一看，吓了一跳，说
A mess. The traveler took off the fire shield and sent it back to heaven. After thanking the king Guangmu, he turned into a bee and flew into the meditation hall. Tang Monk got up, opened the door and took a look. He was startled and said,
怎么殿宇都不见了，只剩下碎砖烂瓦。悟空说了夜间和尚放火的经过。唐僧说，要是烧了袈裟，我就念那话，把你咒死。悟空说，
Why are all the temples gone, only broken bricks and tiles left? Wukong told the story of how the monk set a fire at night. Tang Monk said, If you burn your cassock, I will recite those words and curse you to death. Wukong said,
别念，别念，去袈裟就是了。唐僧就牵了马，悟空挑着担儿出了禅堂，直奔方丈。众和尚见了，吓得魂飞魄散，乱叫冤鬼讨命来了。
Don't think about it, don't think about it, just take the cassock. Tang Monk then took the horse and Wukong carried the burden, left the meditation hall and went straight to the abbot. When the monks saw it, they were so frightened that they lost their minds and shouted, "The wronged ghost is here to ask for his life."
悟空说：“什么冤鬼讨命，快还我袈裟！”众僧慌忙报与老僧。老僧一看，袈裟影踪皆无，又见寺院毁完，别无他法，一头撞在墙上。
Wukong said, "Why are you asking for life? Please return my cassock quickly." The monks hurriedly repaid the old monk. The old monk took a look and saw that there was no trace of his cassock. Seeing that the temple was completely destroyed, he had no other choice but to hit his head against the wall.
脑浆迸裂，气绝身亡。众僧齐哭乱叫，师祖自杀了，又不见了袈裟，怎么好？悟空把所有和尚的箱子搜了一遍，也没找到。
His brain burst and he died. All the monks cried and shouted, "Master committed suicide, and his cassock is missing. What's wrong?" Wukong searched all the monks' boxes, but couldn't find them.
气得唐僧把紧箍咒一连念了10多遍，疼得行者满地打滚，哀求：“别念，别念，让我去寻袈裟。”唐僧一住口，悟空跳起来取出棒。
Tang Monk was so angry that he recited the tightening curse more than 10 times in a row. The pain caused Monkey to roll on the ground and beg, "Don't recite it, don't recite it, let me go find the cassock." As soon as Tang Monk stopped, Wukong jumped up, took out the stick, and
要打和尚。唐僧喝道：“猴头还敢无礼，不要伤人，与我审问一番。”行者思忖半晌，问：“这附近有什么妖精吗？”院主说：“正南有座黑风山。”
Want to beat the monk? Tang Monk shouted, "Don't hurt people if you dare to be rude. Let me interrogate you." The traveler thought for a long time and asked, "Are there any goblins nearby?" The master of the hospital said, "There is a Black Wind mountain in the south."
山上有个黑风大王，老死鬼常和他来往，他便是妖精。行者说：“不用说了，定是那怪偷去了。”唐僧说：“怎见得是他偷了？”行者说：
There is a Black Wind king on the mountain. Old and dead ghosts often come and go with him. He is a goblin. The traveler said, "Needless to say, the monster must have stolen it." Tang Monk said, "How can it be seen that he stole it?" The traveler said,
那山只有20里远近，一定是他看见火光，趁火打劫。你们好好服侍我师父，喂好白马，我去就来。假如有一毫差错。
The mountain was only 20 miles away. He must have seen the fire and took advantage of it to rob it. You should serve my master well and feed the white horse well. I will come as soon as I go. If there is even the slightest mistake,
这墙就是榜样行者照断墙就是一棒，轰隆隆震倒7、8层，众僧吓得屁滚尿流，跪下叩头，说：“爷爷放心，我们一定尽心服侍老爷。”
This wall is an example. The traveler used a stick to break the wall, and the rumble knocked down 7 or 8 floors. The monks were so frightened that they peed and knelt down and kowtowed, saying, "Grandpa, don't worry, we will serve you wholeheartedly."
大圣一筋斗跳起来，直扭了下腰，早来到黑风山，正走着，忽听前面芳草坡上有人说话，忙闪在山崖下偷看，原来是3个妖魔。
The great sage jumped up with a somersault and only twisted his waist. He had arrived at Black Wind Mountain early. As he was walking, he suddenly heard someone talking on the grassy slope in front of him. He hurriedly ducked under the cliff to peek. It turned out to be 3 monsters.
坐在草地上，上手是一个黑汉，左手是一个道人，右手是一个白衣秀才。黑汉说：“后天是我生日，我昨夜得一件宝，名叫锦兰佛衣。”
Sitting on the grass, at the top is a black man, on the left is a Taoist, and on the right is a scholar in white. The black man said, "The day after tomorrow is my birthday, and I got a treasure last night, which is called Genie Buddha clothes."
就开个佛衣会，请2位光临。道人、秀才齐声说好，讲定明天拜寿，后天赴宴。行者忍不住跳出，叫道：“你这妖怪偷了我的袈裟！”
I'm going to hold a Buddhist robe party and invite you two to come. The Taoist priests and scholars said in unison that they would pay their birthdays tomorrow and attend a banquet the day after tomorrow. The traveler couldn't help but jump out and shouted, "You monster stole my cassock."
开什么佛衣会，休走！吃我一棒，双手举棒打去。黑大汉慌得画风而逃，道士驾云而走，秀才没走脱，被一棒打死，却是一条白花蛇。
What kind of Buddhist robe meeting is there? Stop leaving and take a stick from me. He raised his stick and struck him with both hands. The big black man was so panicked that he turned into the wind and fled. The Taoist priest drove away on a cloud. The scholar did not escape and was beaten to death with a stick, but there was a white flower. Snake.
行者追进深山，见一个山洞，洞门上刻黑风山黑风洞6字，就抡棒打门，高叫：“开门！”把门小妖开门问明，慌忙抱进去，说：“大王。”
The traveler pursued deep into the mountains and saw a cave with the words, "Bada Mountain Bada Cave," engraved on the door. He hit the door with a stick and shouted, "Open the door." The little demon opened the door and asked for instructions. He hurriedly reported in and said, "Your Majesty."
门外有个雷公嘴和尚来讨袈裟，黑风怪披挂了，手持一杆黑鹰枪，走出门来，问：“你是哪里的和尚？敢来我这里逞凶？”行者骂道。
Outside the door there was a monk named Lei Gongzue who came to ask for cassocks. The black wind monster was dressed in clothes, holding a black tassel gun, walked out of the door, and asked, "Where are you a monk?" How dare you come to my place to commit evil? The traveler cursed.
你个偷袈裟的贼，听着，你外公是大唐玉帝三藏法师的徒弟，姓孙，名悟空，当年曾大闹天宫，号称齐天大圣。妖怪冷笑着说：
You thief who steals cassocks, listen, your grandpa is the disciple of Master Sanzang, the imperial disciple of the Tang dynasty. His surname is Sun and his given name is Wukong. He once caused havoc in the heavenly palace and was known as the Monkey King. The monster sneered and said,
原来是偷仙逃的弼马温。悟空大怒，举棒就打，那怪挺枪来迎，二人斗了10多回合，不分胜败。那怪使枪架住棒，说：“且住，赏武了。”
It turned out to be Bima One who stole the fairy peach. Wukong was furious and raised his stick to fight. The monster came to meet him with a gun. The two fought for more than 10 rounds, with neither victory nor defeat. The monster put the gun on the stick and said, "Hold on, it's noon."
等我吃了饭再跟你斗。行者说：“你算什么好汉，才斗半日就要吃饭？我老孙压在五行山下500年也没进一口汤水。不要走。”
I'll fight you after I've eaten. The traveler said, "What kind of hero are you? You only need to eat after fighting for half a day. My old grandson is pressed under the 5 Elements mountain and has not had a sip of soup for 500 years. Do not go."
还我袈裟，你再吃饭。那怪虚晃一枪，进了洞，关上门，自命小妖，准备佛衣会演习。行者见妖怪不出战，回到观音院。
"Give me back my cassock and you can eat again." The monster fainted a shot, entered the cave, closed the door, and ordered the little monster to prepare the Buddha's robes for the banquet. Seeing that the monster did not fight, the traveler returned to Guanyin Temple.
说了交战的经过，众僧见袈裟有了下落，都念阿弥陀佛。悟空安排众僧好好照管唐僧茶饭，再奔黑风山。到了黑风山，
He told the story of the battle. When all the monks saw the whereabouts of their cassocks, they all chanted Amitabha. Wukong arranged for the monks to take good care of Tang monks' tea and food before heading to Black Wind Mountain. Arriving at Black Wind Mountain,
行者暗落云头，只见一个小怪加个花梨木匣走过来，当头一棒打成肉饼，打开匣，里面是张请帖。
the traveler pressed down the cloud head and saw a little monster coming over with a rosewood box. He hit the head with a stick and beat it into meat patties. He opened the box and found an invitation card inside.
请观音院金池长老赴佛衣会。行者摇身一变，变成那长老，来到洞前，叫开门。小妖忙将他请进洞，见过妖精，说
Invite Elder Jin Shi of Guanyin Yuan to attend the Buddhist Clothes Association. The traveler transformed into the elder, came to the cave, and called, "Open the door." The little demon hurriedly invited him into the cave. He saw the demon and said,
昨夜四处寻袈裟不见，原来是老友弄来了。二人正说着，巡山的小妖来报：大王，下书的小妖被人打死了。
I was looking for the cassock everywhere last night, but it was missing. It turned out that an old friend had brought it. While the two were talking, the little demon patrolling the mountain came to report, Your Majesty, the little demon who wrote the letter was beaten to death.
妖王就知老僧是悟空变化，抓枪就刺。悟空即取棒，现了本相，就从洞中斗出来。看看红日西坠，妖精说：“姓孙的，天晚了，明天再斗。”
The Demon King knew that the old monk was Wukong in his transformation, so he grabbed his spear and stabbed him. Wukong quickly took the stick, revealed his true form, and fought out of the cave. Looking at the red sun setting in the west, the goblin said, Son, it's getting late, let's fight again tomorrow.
悟空没头没脸，只把大棒打来。妖怪化作一阵风，转回洞，再也不肯出来。悟空回到观音院，取出请帖，说：“这老和尚是妖精的朋友。”
Wukong was shameless and just hit him with a big stick. The monster turned into a gust of wind and turned back into the cave, never to come out again. Wukong returned to Guanyinyuan, took out the invitation, and said, This old monk is a friend of the goblin.
这是凭证。唐僧问：“你跟他谁的本事强些？”悟空说：“差不多少，打了半天，打个平手。你看那帖上写着是生熊皮，想来是黑熊成精。”
This is the voucher. Tang Monk asked, Who is better between you and him? Wukong said, About the same. We fought for a long time and it was a tie. Look at the post that says, Attendant Xiongzhu. I guess it's a black bear that has become a spirit.
三藏说：“你胜不了他，怎么才好？”悟空说：“我自有办法。”次日一早，悟空起来说：“众僧小心服侍我师父，我到南海一趟。”三藏问
Sanzang said, You can't defeat him, what can you do? Wukong said, I have my own way. Early the next morning, Wukong got up and said, Monks, please serve my master carefully. I will go to the South China Sea. Sanzang asked,
你几时回来？悟空说：“顶多晌午。”说完，一个筋斗翻到南海普陀山。朱天引他见了菩萨，菩萨问：“你来干什么？”悟空说了事情经过。
When will you be back? Wukong said, Noon at most. After saying that, he somersaulted to Putua Mountain in the South China Sea. The gods led him to see the Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva asked, What are you doing here? Wukong told what happened.
找菩萨要袈裟。菩萨说：“都是你这猴头惹祸，卖弄宝贝，又放火烧了我的禅院，还来这里放刁我。看唐僧面子上，跟你去一趟。”
Asked the Bodhisattva for a cassock. The Bodhisattva said, It's all you monkey head who caused trouble, showed off your treasures, set fire to my Zen courtyard, and came here to make trouble. I think Tang Monk's face will go with you.
二人来到黑风山，正走着，迎面碰上那道人，手中捧着玻璃盘，盘中放着2粒仙丹。悟空劈头一棒，将道人打死，原来是一只苍狼。
The two came to Haifeng Mountain, and as they were walking, they met the man head-on. He was holding a glass plate with 2 elixirs in it. Wukong struck the head with a club and beat the Taoist to death. It turned out to be a wolf.
拾起盘子，底下刻有灵虚子志4字。菩萨不高兴，问：你为什么打死他？悟空说：他是黑风大王一伙的，今天去给妖王拜寿。依我看，
Picking up the plate, there were 4 words Lingshu Zi made, engraved on the bottom. The Bodhisattva was unhappy and asked, "Why did you kill him?" Wukong said, "He is from the Black Wind King's group, and he went to pay homage to the Demon King today. In my opinion."
菩萨就变成灵虚子，我变成1粒仙丹，略大一些。你把我献给他，老孙到他肚里好使手段。菩萨为了那袈裟，也顾不得尊严。
The Bodhisattva becomes Ling Shuzi, and I become an elixir, slightly larger. You offer me to him, and Lao's son goes into his belly to use his tricks. The Bodhisattva doesn't care about his dignity for the sake of that cassock.
一计变作灵虚子，悟空把丹吃了1粒，变成1粒丹。菩萨来到洞府，小妖抱进去，灵虚仙长来了。妖王不辨真假，请进洞中坐了。
According to the plan, he became Ling Shuzi. Wukong ate a pill and turned it into a pill. When the Bodhisattva came to the cave, the little demon announced, "Lingshu Immortal is here." The Demon King did not distinguish between true and false, so he went into the cave and sat down.
菩萨献上仙丹，把那粒大的递过去，说：愿大王签寿。妖王把另1粒丹递过来，说：愿与老友同享。妖王刚把丹放进嘴里，
The Bodhisattva offered the elixir, handed the big one over, and said, "May the king live 1,000 years." The Demon King handed over the other elixir and said, "I wish to share it with my old friend." As soon as the Demon King put the elixir into his mouth,
悟空迫不及待，钻入腹中，大闹起来。妖王疼倒在地，菩萨现了真身，妖王忙现出袈裟。行者从妖王鼻孔中钻出来，
Wukong couldn't wait, got into his belly, and made such a fuss that the Demon King fell to the ground in pain. The Bodhisattva appeared in his true form, and the Demon King hurriedly offered his cassock. The traveler emerged from the Demon King's nostrils.
菩萨怕妖王无礼，把一个箍丢到妖王头上。妖王挺枪刺菩萨，菩萨念动真言，妖王疼得丢了枪，满地打滚。菩萨问：孽畜，
The Bodhisattva was afraid that the Demon King would be rude, so he threw a hoop on the Demon King's head. The Demon King stabbed the Bodhisattva with his spear, and the Bodhisattva recited the mantra. The Demon King was so painful that he dropped his spear and rolled on the ground. The Bodhisattva asked, "Evil beast,
你皈依吗？妖王说：情愿皈依，饶我性命。行者举棒要打，菩萨拦下，说：我那珞珈山后无人看管，叫他跟我当守山神。
Do you want to convert? The demon king said, I would like to convert and spare my life. The traveler raised his stick to strike, but the Bodhisattva stopped him and said, There is no one watching over me behind Luajia mountain. Let him and I be the guardians of the mountain.
就给妖王魔顶受戒，带上回了南海。悟空把袈裟放好，一路棒打入山洞，小妖早逃得风云散，就放了一把火。
He then rubbed his head to receive the ordination from the Demon King and took him back to the South China Sea. Wukong put the cassock away and drove the stick into the cave. The little demon had already escaped, so he set a fire.
将黑风洞烧成红风洞，捧上袈裟，返回观音院。三藏左等右盼，不见悟空请菩萨来，正焦急，见半空中彩云缭绕，悟空落了下来，说：
Burn the Bada cave into the Red Wind cave. Pick up the cassock and return to Guanyin Temple. Sanzang waited and looked around, but he didn't see Wukong inviting the Bodhisattva to come. He was anxious when he saw colorful clouds in the sky. Wukong fell down and said,
师父，取回袈裟了。接着说明如何请来菩萨，如何降了妖王的经过。三藏忙背香案，往南顶礼。众僧逃得性命，皆大欢喜。
Master, I have retrieved my cassock. Then he explained how he invited the Bodhisattva and how he subdued the Demon King. Sanzang hurriedly prepared the incense case and looked south to bow. The monks escaped with their lives and were all very happy.
安排了斋供，请唐僧吃了，当夜无话。次日一早，三藏师徒离开观音院，向西行进。走了6、7天，天色将晚，远远望见一个村庄。
I arranged a fasting offering and invited Tang Monk to eat, but there was nothing to say that night. Early the next morning, Master Sanzang and his disciples left Guanyin Yuan and headed west. After walking for 6 or 7 days, it was getting late, and I saw a village in the distance.
就进了庄。刚走到街口，就见一个少年身背包袱，斜挎雨伞，脚穿草鞋，匆匆走来。悟空拦路问：“请问这是什么地方？”那人急着赶路。
He entered the village. As soon as I reached the corner of the street, I saw a young man walking hurriedly with a backpack, an umbrella slung across his body and straw sandals on his feet. Wukong blocked the road and asked, "Excuse me, where is this place?" The man was in a hurry.
没好气地说：“你不会问别人，偏偏问我。”悟空说：“今天我偏问你。”那人要走，被悟空抓牢，怎么也挣不开，想打，又怎么也打不到。
He said angrily, "You don't know how to ask other people, but you asked me." Wukong said, "Today I am asking you." The man was about to leave, but Wukong grabbed him, and he couldn't get away. He wanted to hit him, but he couldn't. Less than.
那人无法，才说：“这里是乌斯藏国，一庄人大多姓高，就叫高老庄。你该放我了吧？”悟空又问：“看你像出远门的样子，有什么事？”
The man couldn't help it, so he said, "This is the country of Yuzhang. Most of the people in this village are named Gao, so they are called Gao Laozhuang. You should let me go." Wukong asked again, "You look like you have traveled far away. What's wrong with you, thing?"
告诉我，我再放你。那人只好说，他是庄主高太公的家丁，名叫高才。太公有个老女儿，3年前被一个妖精抓了。
Tell me and I'll let you go. The man had to say that he was the servant of the village owner, Grand Duke Gao, named Gao Kai. Grand Duke had an old daughter who was captured by a goblin 3 years ago.
太公让他请法师捉妖，连请了几个都不是妖精的对手。太公埋怨他不会办事，让他再去请。谁知被悟空抓住，不由得动气。
The Taigong asked him to hire a mage to catch monsters. He even hired several mages, but they were no match for the monsters. Grandpa complained that he didn't know how to handle things and asked him to invite him again. Unexpectedly, he was caught by Wukong and couldn't help but get angry.
悟空说：“这是你的造化，正是一来照顾郎中，二来一的言好。你回去告诉家主，说我们是大唐玉帝唐僧，往西天拜佛求经。”
Wukong said, "This is your creation. Firstly, it takes care of the doctor, and secondly, it heals the eyesight. You go back and tell the family master that we are Tang Monk, the emperor's younger brother, and we go to the west to worship Buddha and seek scriptures."
善会捉妖，高才正不过，只好领3藏师徒转回去。刚进大门，太公就骂：“你这家伙偷懒，怎么不去请法师？”高才说：“小人才到街口。”
Good people will catch monsters. Gao Kai couldn't make any money, so he had to lead Tripitaka and his disciples back. As soon as they entered the gate, Taigong scolded him, "You are lazy, why don't you go and ask for a mage?" Gao Kai said, "Young man came to the street.
撞见2个和尚，说是东土大唐来的唐僧，惯会捉妖。太公说：“既是远来的和尚，也许有些手段，请他们进来。”太公迎出门。
I bumped into 2 monks. They said they were from the Tang dynasty in the east and were good at catching monsters. Taigong said, "Since they are monks from afar, I may have some means to invite them in." The grandpa went out to welcome him.
与唐僧见了礼，再看悟空，吓了一跳，骂高才：“家里有个丑八怪打发不走，你怎么又请个雷公来吓我？”悟空说：“老高。”
After meeting with Tang Monk, he looked at Wukong again. He was startled and scolded Gao Kai, "There is an ugly monster at home that you can't get rid of. Why did you invite a Thunder Lord to scare me?" Wukong said, "Old Gao,
你白活一把年纪，怎么也以相貌取人？我老孙丑是丑，就是有本事，待我拿了妖怪，还你女儿就是好事。” 太公战战兢兢。
You have lived your life in vain, and you still judge people by their looks. Cho is ugly, but he is capable. When I take away the monster, it will be a good thing to give you your daughter back. The Grand Duke was very frightened.
将二人请进庄，进了大厅，悟空把马拴在厅柱上，拉过一把椅子，让三藏坐了。三藏说是来借宿，太公说：“你们来借宿。”
Invite the two of them into the village. Entering the hall, Wukong tied the horse to the hall pillar, pulled out a chair and let Sanzang sit on it. Sanzang said he was here to stay for the night, but Taigong said, "You guys are here to stay for the night."
怎么又说捉妖？悟空说：“顺便抓几个妖怪玩玩。”请问府上有几个妖怪？太公说：“只一个就不得了，敢有多少？”悟空说
Why are you talking about catching monsters? Wukong said, Catch a few monsters for fun. How many monsters are there in the house? Taigong said, Just one is a big deal. How many monsters do you dare to have? Wukong said,
你把妖怪的来历说说，我好给你捉拿。太公说：“他有3个女儿，大的叫香兰，2的叫玉兰，3的叫翠兰。2个女儿出了嫁。”
Tell me the origin of the monster, and I can catch it for you. Taigong said that he has 3 daughters. The eldest is called Xianglan, the second is called Yulan, and the third is called Suilan. The 2 daughters are married.
只留着老女儿，想招个上门女婿养老。3年前来了个黑大汉，模样也说得过去，自称是福陵山人士，姓朱，上无父母，下无兄弟。
He only keeps his old daughter and wants to recruit a son-in-law to take care of him in her old age. 3 years ago, a big black man came here. He looked decent. He claimed to be from Fulingshan, and his surname was Zhu. He had no parents or brothers.
情愿当上门女婿。他一进家，倒也勤俭，耕田耙地不用牛，收割庄稼不用刀，早出晚归，倒也不错。谁知慢慢他就变了。
I would like to be my son-in-law. As soon as he entered the house, he was diligent and diligent. He plowed the fields without oxen and harvested crops without knives. He went out early and came back late, which was good. Who would have thought that he would gradually change?
变成长嘴大耳朵，活像只野猪，一顿能吃3、5斗米的饭，早点也得100个烧饼。万幸他光吃素，要是吃荤就更不得了。
It turned into a long mouth and big ears, like a wild boar. It can eat 3 to 5 buckets of rice in one meal, and 100 sesame seed cakes for breakfast. Fortunately, he only eats vegetarian food. It would be even worse if he eats meat.
再后来他就云里来雾里去，飞沙走石，吓得一庄人家拒不安生。他又把翠兰关在后院里，1年半载也见不上面。
Later, he came and went in the clouds, flying sand and rocks, scaring the whole village and making their furniture restless. He He locked Tsuelan in the backyard again and could not see her for a year and a half.
就因为招了这个妖精女婿，坏了太公的名声，亲戚也不来往了，所以要请法师捉妖。悟空说：“我与你捉了妖。”
Just because he recruited this goblin's son-in-law, the grandfather's reputation was ruined and his relatives stopped communicating with him, so he asked a mage to catch the goblin. Wukong said, "I caught the demon with you."
让他给你写个退婚文书。太公说：“我也不要什么文书，你只给我除了根吧。”悟空说：“容易。”太公就让摆上斋饭。天色渐晚，太公问
Ask him to write you a divorce document. Tai Gong said, "I don't want any documents either. You can just remove the roots for me." Wukong said, "Easy." The Grand Duke then ordered the vegetarian meal to be served. It was getting late, and the Grand Duke asked,
长老捉妖要什么兵器，要多少人？悟空说：“兵器我自有，也不用人，只要请几个有德的老人陪我师父说话就行。”
What kind of weapons does the elder need to catch monsters? How many people do you need? Wukong said, "I have my own weapons and I don't need anyone. I just need to invite a few virtuous old people to talk to my master."
太公就引悟空来到后院，见门上的锁用铜枝灌死了。悟空一棒倒开门，见后楼上黑洞洞的。太公壮着胆喊：“三姐！”
The Taigong led Wukong to the backyard, and saw that the lock on the door was filled with copper juice. Wukong smashed the door open with a stick, and saw that the back stairs were dark. Grandpa took the courage to shout, "Third sister!"
翠兰有气无力地说：“爹爹！”父女俩抱头大哭。悟空说：“先别哭，那妖怪呢？”翠兰说：“他云云雾雾，也不知去哪里了。”
Tsuelan said feebly, "Daddy." The father and daughter held their heads and cried. Wukong said, "Don't cry yet, where is the monster?" Tsuelan said, "He is cloudy and misty, and I don't know where he went."
近来因父亲请法师捉他，他也提防着。悟空说：“老高，你把令爱领走，老孙在这等他。他若不来，你别怪我；若来了，定给你斩草除根。”
Recently, because his father asked the mage to catch him, he was also on guard. Wukong said, "Lao Gao, please take my daughter away. Lao's son is waiting for him here. If he doesn't come, don't blame me. If he comes, I will definitely root out the problem for you."
太公父女走后，悟空就变成翠兰的模样，等那妖精。不一时，一阵狂风刮来，刮得飞沙走石，天昏地暗。风过后
After the grandfather and his daughter left, Wukong turned into Tsuelan and waited for the goblin. After a while, a strong wind blew, blowing sand and rocks, and the sky became dark. After the wind passes,
半空中下来那长嘴大耳的妖精，悟空就哼哼唧唧的装病，那妖上来搂着 就要亲嘴，被悟空拖住嘴，扑通摔下床来。妖怪说
The goblin with the long mouth and big ears came down from midair. Wukong grumbled and pretended to be sick. The demon came up and hugged him, trying to kiss him. But Wukong held his mouth and fell off the bed. The monster said,
姐姐今天怎么怪我？悟空说不怪。妖怪说不怪，怎么摔我一跤？悟空说我不舒服，你怎么上来就亲嘴？妖怪就上了床。
Why did my sister blame me today? Wukong said, No. The monster said, It's no wonder why you knocked me down. Wukong said, I'm not feeling well. Why did you come up and kiss me? The monster got on the bed.
悟空坐到马桶上，说：“我爹又请法师捉你哩。”妖怪说：“你爹也忒不讲道理。我自到你家，什么活都干，你身上穿的绸缎，戴的金银。”
Wukong sat on the toilet and said, My father asked the mage to catch you again. The monster said, Your father is too unreasonable. I will do all the work when I come to your house. The silk and satin you are wearing, of gold and silver.
家中的一应花销，哪样不是我挣的？我是愁点，却是他情愿招我，要俊也不难。悟空问：“你家住哪里？姓甚名谁？”妖精说
I didn't earn any of the expenses at home. I am ugly, but he was willing to recruit me. It's not difficult to be handsome. Wukong asked, Where do you live and what is your surname? The fairy said,
我家住福陵山云栈洞，以相貌为姓，叫朱刚烈。我自有本事，怕他什么法师？悟空说。
My family lives in Yunzhan Cave, Fuling Mountain, and my surname is Zhangxi, named after my appearance. I have my own abilities, so I'm afraid of what kind of magician he is. Wukong said,
听说他这回请的是500年前大闹天宫的齐天大圣。妖怪说：“罢了，两口子做不成了。那弼马温真有些本事，别打不过他。”
I heard that the person he invited this time was the Monkey King who caused havoc in the heavenly palace 500 years ago. The monster said, That's all, the couple can't do it. But Bima One is really capable. Don't be able to beat him.
坏了老头！说罢，穿衣要走。悟空一把扯住，把脸一抹，说：“妖怪，看看我是谁？”妖怪大吃一惊，挣破衣服，化阵风就逃。
Bad old man. After that, he got dressed and was about to leave. Wukong grabbed him, wiped his face, and said, Monster, look who I am. The monster was shocked, broke his clothes, turned into a gust of wind, and ran away.
悟空望风就是一棒，那风化作万道金光，转眼逃去。悟空穷追不舍，追到一座高山，那怪现了本相，回洞取出一柄9齿钉耙来。
Wukong looked at the wind with a stick, and the wind turned into thousands of golden lights and fled in an instant. Wukong pursued him until he reached a high mountain. The monster revealed its true form. He went back to the cave and took out a 9-tooth rake.
大战行者。行者喝问：“你是哪里的妖魔？”那怪报出来历。行者说：“原来是天蓬水神下界，难怪知我老孙的名头。”
Battle Walker. The traveler shouted and asked, "Where are you from?" The monster told him where he came from. The traveler said, "It turns out to be the lower realm of the Canopy Water God. No wonder he knows the name of my old grandson."
二人大战到东方发白，那怪不是对手，化阵狂风，逃进洞中，闭门不出。悟空怕师傅等急，回到高老庄。
The two fought until the east turned white. The monster was no match. He turned into a strong wind and fled into the cave, unable to come out. Wukong was afraid that his master would be impatient, so he returned to Gaoleazwang.
见师傅正与众老人谈天说地，三藏问：“你拿住妖怪了吗？”悟空说：“那怪不是凡间的精怪，是天蓬元帅下凡，错投了猪胎。”
I saw Master chatting with all the old people. Sanzang asked, "Have you caught the monster?" Wukong said, "That monster is not a spirit in the world. It is Marshal Tianping who came down to earth and was mistakenly cast into a pig fetus."
说是名叫朱刚烈，他战老孙不过，躲在洞中不肯出来。我怕师傅久等，先给师傅报个信儿。高太公跪求道：“请长老帮忙帮到底。”
It is said that his name is Zhu Gangi. He was no match for Lao's son and hid in the cave and refused to come out. I was afraid that Master would wait for a long time, so I sent a message to Master first. Tai Gong Gao knelt down and begged, "Please help me, elders, to the end."
把他拿了，免除后患。哪怕将老汉的家财与长老平分，我也情愿。悟空说：“你这老头不懂事，他本是天上的神仙，名头也不低。”
Take him away to avoid future troubles. Even if the old man's wealth is divided equally with the elders, I am willing to do so. Wukong said, "You old man is ignorant. He is a god in the sky, and his reputation is not low."
到你家又跟长工一般，为你挣下许多家产，又不白吃你的，留下他吧。太公说：“不妥当。”四下早传开了，说我家招了个妖精女婿。
When he comes to your house, he is like a long-term worker. He earns a lot of property for you and does not eat your money for free. Let him keep him. Tai Gong said, "It's inappropriate. Rumors have spread around that my family has a goblin son-in-law."
三藏说：“你去拿来他吧，好人做到家。”悟空一筋斗，又来到福陵山，一顿铁棒把洞门打碎，大骂：“囊康的蠢货！”
Sanzang said, "Go and get him. A good man will do his best." Wukong somersaulted to Fuling Mountain, smashed the cave door into pieces with an iron rod, and cursed, "You idiot."
快出来与老孙见个胜负！那怪举爬迎出，骂：“你这弼马温， 打破我的大门，犯下该死的罪了，休走！吃我一耙！悟空把头一伸。
Come out quickly and see the winner with Lao Sunday. The strange man came out with a rake and scolded, You Baima one, you broke my door and committed a damnable crime. Stop leaving and eat a rake from me. Wukong stretched his head.
当他挨了一耙，倒震的那怪手发麻，连说：“好头，好头！”悟空说：“我在老君的八卦炉里练就了火眼金睛、铜头铁臂，你再住几下。”
The monster was hit by a rake, and the shock made the monster's hands numb, and he kept saying, Good head, good head. Wukong said, I have made blazing eyes, golden eyes, copper heads, and iron arms in Lao Juan's Bagua furnace. You can do it again. Build it a few times.
看看疼不疼？那怪说：“我记得你家住傲来国花果山水帘洞，被佛祖压在五行山下，你怎么来到这里？”悟空说：“我改邪归正。”
See if it hurts. The monster said, I remember that you lived in the water curtain cave in the Huagua mountain in Aolai country, and was pressed by the Buddha under the Five Elements mountain. How did you get here? Wukong said, I will correct my evil ways and return to the right path.
保大唐玉帝三藏法师上西天取经，路过高老庄，你丈人叫我救他女儿，拿你这蠢货！那怪丢了耙，说：“取经人在哪里？”
Master Sanzang, the younger brother of Bao Datong, went to the west to obtain Buddhist scriptures. When passing by Gao Laozhuang, your father-in-law asked me to save his daughter from you, idiot. The monster threw away his rake and said, Where is the Buddhist scripture seeker?
麻烦你引荐引荐。悟空问：“你为什么要见他？”那怪说：“观音菩萨劝我保他取经，为我受了戒，可将功折罪，还得正果。你既保了他。”
Please give me an introduction. Wukong asked, Why do you want to see him? The monster said, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva advised me to protect him from obtaining scriptures, and he accepted the precepts for me, so that he could offset his merits and get the right result. Since you have protected him,
为什么不说此事，反倒打上门来？悟空将信将疑，怕他使奸计，就拔根毫毛便条绳，把他绑了，揪着耳朵返回高老庄。
Why didn't you tell him about this? But instead he knocked on the door. Wukong was doubtful, fearing that he might do something treacherous, so he pulled out his hair and turned it into a rope, tied him up, grabbed his ears, and returned to Gao Laozhuang.
悟空指着堂上说：“那上手做的就是我师傅。”那怪跪地叩头说：“师傅，弟子失迎。早知师傅住我丈人家，我就来拜你了。”三藏说：“悟空。”
Wukong pointed to the hall and said, The person sitting at the head of the hall is my master. The monster knelt down and kowtowed and said, Master, I am not welcome. If I had known that Master lived in my father-in-law's house, would have come to worship you. Sanzang said, Wukong.
这妖为什么拜我？悟空说：“呆子，你说。” 那怪就把菩萨劝化的事说了一遍。三藏说：“高太公，借个香案一用。”高太公忙备下香案。
Why does this demon worship me? Wukong said, Idiot, tell me. The monster then told the story of the Bodhisattva's persuasion. Sanzang said, Tai Gong Gao, please lend me an incense case. Mr. Gao Tai Gong was busy preparing the incense case.
三藏拜谢了菩萨，让悟空为那怪松了绑，说：“你既愿做我徒弟，我给你起个法号。”那怪说：“菩萨已给我摩顶受戒，其法号诸无能。”
Sanzang thanked the Bodhisattva, asked Wukong to untie the monster, and said, Since you are willing to be my disciple, I will give you a Dharma name. The monster said, The Bodhisattva has already rubbed my forehead and received the ordination, and gave me the Dharma name Pig. Enlightenment.
我早就断了五荤三宴。唐僧说：“我就给你起个混名，叫八戒吧。”高太公见女婿改邪归正，就命人摆下素颜，酬谢唐僧。八戒说：“爹
I have long given up on the 5 kinds of meat and 3 kinds of disgust. Tang Monk said, I'll give you a mixed name, Beiji. When Tai Gong Gao saw that his son-in-law had changed his ways, he ordered a vegetarian feast to reward Monk Tang. Beiji said, Dad,
让我妻子来拜见公公伯伯。”悟空说：“你既入了空门，今后再别提妻子的事。”众人入席，宴罢，高太公取过白银200两，3件衣服。
Let my wife come to meet my father-in-law and uncle. Wukong said, Since you have entered Buddhism, don't mention anything about your wife from now on. Everyone sat down and the banquet was over. Gao Taigong took 200 taels of silver and 3 pieces of clothing.
作为酬谢，唐僧说什么也不接受。八戒说：“我的衣裳叫师兄扯破了，得换件新的。”高太公就给了八戒一身新衣，一双新鞋。
As a reward, Tang Seng would not accept anything he said. Beiji said, My clothes were torn by my senior brother, so I have to get a new one. Gao Taigong gave Beiji a new suit of clothes and a new pair of shoes.
八戒对太公施一礼，说：“我做和尚去了，请丈人照顾好我妻子。要是取不成经时，我还回来给你当女婿。”行者骂：“胡说八道！”八戒说：
Beiji bowed to the Grand Duke and said, I'm going to become a monk. Please take good care of my wife. If I don't get the Buddhist scriptures, I will come back and be your son-in-law. The traveler scolded, That's nonsense. Beiji said,
只怕和尚误了做，老婆误了娶，两下耽搁。三藏说：“少说闲话，赶路要紧。”行者就收拾了行李，让八戒担了，扶师傅上了马，肩扛铁棒。
I'm afraid that the monk will make a mistake by mistake, and the wife will marry by mistake, and both times will be delayed. Sanzang said, Don't talk nonsense. It's important to be on your way. The traveler packed his luggage and asked Beiji to carry it. He helped the master get on the horse and carried the iron rod on his shoulder.
在前面开路，离了高老庄，向西行去。师徒3个走了1月有余，离了乌斯藏国，见前面有一座高山。八戒说：“这山叫浮屠山。”
Open the road ahead, leave Gaeleaswang and head west. The 3 masters and disciples had been walking for more than a month. When they left Yuzhang country, they saw a high mountain in front of them. Beiji said, "This mountain is called Futu Mountain."
山上有个乌巢禅师在修行，老朱认得他。3人说着话，不觉来到山上，见一株香桂树上有一个柴草搭的窝。禅师离了巢。
There was Zen master Wu Chao practicing on the mountain, and Lao Zhu recognized him. While the 3 of them were talking, they came to the mountain and saw a nest made of firewood on a juniper tree. The Zen master left the nest.
下树相迎，八戒上前施礼，禅师说：“恭喜你改邪归正。”又指着悟空问：“这位是谁？”三藏说：“是我大徒弟孙悟空。”禅师说：“欠礼。”
We greet each other under the tree. Beiji stepped forward and saluted, and the Zen master said, "Congratulations on your correcting your evil ways." Then he pointed at Wukong and asked, "Who is this?" Sanzang said, "This is my great disciple's son Wukong." The Zen master said, "I owe you a courtesy."
三藏问到雷音寺还有多远？禅师说：“原理路途虽远，终有一天能到，却只是魔障难消。我有《摩诃般若波罗蜜多心经》1卷。”
Sanzang asked how far it was to Lei Temple. The Zen master said, "It's far. It's far. Although the road is long, we will get there one day, but it's just that the obstacles are difficult to eliminate. I have a volume of the Mahaprajnaparamita Heart Sutra."
54句，共270字。若遇魔障，就念此经，自无伤害。三藏拜服下来，禅师就传下经文。禅师脚踏祥云，就要离去，三藏扯住。
54 sentences, a total of 270. If you encounter demonic obstacles, just recite this sutra and you will not be harmed. Sanzang bowed down, and the Zen master passed down the sutra. The Zen master stepped on the auspicious clouds and was about to leave, but Sanzang held on.
定要问明西去路程。禅师笑着吟了一首五言古风，末几句为：野猪挑担子，水怪前头遇。多年老石猴，那里怀嗔怒。你问那相识。
Be sure to ask Mingxi for the distance. The Zen master smiled and recited a 5-character ancient poem. The last few lines were, "The wild boar carries the burden, and the water monster meets in front. The old stone monkey has anger there. Ask that acquaintance."
他知悉去路。悟空冷笑道：“不用问他，问我就是。”唐僧仍不解其意。悟空举棒乱捣，只见莲花万朵护住窝巢。唐僧问：“你捣他窝干嘛？”
He knows the way to the west. Wukong sneered and said, You don't have to ask him, just ask me. Tang Monk still didn't understand what he meant. Wukong raised his stick and made trouble, only to see thousands of lotus flowers protecting the nest. Tang Monk asked, Why are you destroying his nest?
悟空说：“你没听见他说野猪挑担子是骂八戒，多年老石猴是骂老孙？”八戒说：“师兄息怒，这禅师也知过去未来之事，只看他。”
Wukong said, Didn't you hear that he said, Wild boar carries the burden, which is a scolding of Beiji, and Old Stone Monkey is a scolding of Lao Sunday. Beiji said, Brother, please calm down. This Zen master also knows the past and the future. He only knows the past and the future. To see him.
水怪前头欲验不验，悟空就请师傅上马，继续西行。这天，三人来到一座村庄投宿，庄主太公说：“此去西方不远，有一座黄风岭。”
If you encounter a water monster in front of you, you will not be able to test it. Wukong asked his master to get on his horse and continue westward. On this day, the three of them came to a village to stay. The owner of the village, Tai Gong, said, Not far to the west, there is Huangfengling.
足有800里，山上多妖魔，请长老仔细。次日一早，三人辞了庄主，行不20-30里，果见一座险恶高山。正看时，忽然一阵旋风大作。
It's 800 miles away, and there are many monsters on the mountain. Elders, please be careful. Early the next morning, the three of them resigned from the village and walked less than 20 or 30 miles when they saw a dangerous mountain. As they were looking at it, a whirlwind suddenly blew up.
唐僧说：“徒弟小心，起风了。”悟空说：“待我闻闻。”就抓了一把，在鼻子上一闻，说：“这风有些腥气，不是虎就是妖。”正说着
Tang Monk said, Disciple, be careful, the wind is blowing. Wukong said, Let me smell it. He grabbed a handful, smelled it on his nose, and said, This wind has a fishy smell, it's either a tiger or a demon. Just said with.
跳出一只猛虎来，吓得唐僧一头栽下马来。八戒扔下担子，举耙迎上去，大喝一声：“孽畜，哪里去劈头救主？”那虎跳开，直立起来。
A tiger jumped out and Tang Monk was so frightened that he fell off his horse. Beiji threw down his burden, raised his rake, and rushed forward. He shouted, Where are you going, you evil beast? He started building from the ground up. The tiger jumped away and stood upright.
用左爪往胸前一抓，脱下虎皮，变成个妖精，说：“我是黄风大王部下的先锋，奉大王之命，拿几个人去下酒。你们是哪里来的和尚？”
He grabbed his chest with his left paw, took off the tiger's skin, turned into a goblin, and said, I am the vanguard of King Huangfeng's men. I was ordered by the king to take a few people to drink. Where are you monks from?
八戒说：“ 我们不是凡夫俗子，是东土大唐钦差往西天取经的圣僧。你趁早让开路，别吓着我师父，饶你性命。”那怪不容分说。
Beiji said, "We are not ordinary people. We are holy monks sent by the Tang dynasty from the east to the west to obtain scriptures. Get out of the way as soon as possible. Don't scare my master. Spare your life. The strange thing cannot be explained."
往八戒脸上抓来，八戒举耙就住。那怪手无兵器，掉头就走，八戒随后赶上。那怪从乱石中取出2口铜刀来斩八戒。悟空说
Grabbing it on Beiji's face. Beiji lifts the rake and builds. The monster had no weapons, so he turned around and walked away. Beiji caught up with him soon after. The monster took out 2 copper knives from the rocks and came to fight Beiji. Wukong said,
师父少坐，待我助八戒降那妖怪。唐僧就坐下来，战战兢兢念那多心经。悟空举棒打去，那怪败下阵来，2人赶上去。
Master, please sit down and wait for me to help Beiji subdue the monster. Tang monk sat down and recited the Multiple Heart Sutra tremblingly. Wukong raised his stick and hit the monster. The monster was defeated, and the 2 of them caught up.
那怪又化作猛虎，拼命奔逃，2人穷追不舍。那怪被赶急了，使个金蝉脱壳之计，把虎皮盖在一块大石上，大石就变成虎。
The monster turned into a tiger again and ran away desperately, with the 2 in hot pursuit. The monster was so worried that he used a golden cicada to escape from its shell. He covered a big stone with tiger skin, and the big stone turned into a tiger.